Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tea Time. I went to California recently. I went to Irvine, California recently. I went to Blizzard headquarters recently. It's so good to be able to say that because I was so unsure for a while when I was getting set. Can I say that I'm going? And now I went and I'm going. There's pictures and there's vlogs abound, and people are all coming back from the summit, the community summit. We can call it that because that is what it is, and giving their thoughts. And so this is my version of that. Before I went, you may or may not have noticed, I put up a thread on Reddit that asked what in Legacy of the Void, is most important to you. What is it? The Allied Commanders? Is it Archon mode? Is it Protoss design? What is it? And the top three things in that list, I took that giant thread of 300 plus comments, and then I have it here, and then I turned it into all of these things, and eventually I got it up into a list of calculated things of what it is that you all care about the most at that snapshot in time, so that I could try to stay focused on those topics and try to prepare for those topics when I have a chance to ask questions and see what's going on. And those three things, the top three things by far, were Protoss design, rewards and incentives, systems of that nature, and social features. So the Protoss design, David Kim has already said he's going to be talking about that, so I'm not even going to bother talking about that now. David Kim's going to do his thing, and I'll probably make a response to that. The rewards and incentive systems and social features, that area, those comments were pretty much all about bringing new blood into Starcraft 2 and keeping it. We want all of the blood. We're all blood mages. We're all doing blood magic, and it's very dangerous, but we love it and enjoy it because of its fantastic powers. Now, Archon mode and Allied Commanders are really cool for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, because they're fun, and that's sort of I think, going to bring a lot of new players in. But second of all, because they teach you how to play StarCraft without having you play StarCraft, which is, I think, a really important thing, especially with StarCraft, because it is such a difficult game to learn and to get into. It's so complex. There's so many things to do. There's so many variables. It's very overwhelming experience to be a brand new player, sit down and just jump into a 1 versus 1 match of StarCraft 2. So Archon mode and Allied Commanders are this perfect way of letting you do some of the elements, letting you learn some of the elements that are going to be in 1 versus 1 matchmaking, like making workers. With Archon mode, it's very straightforward. You do all this stuff, but you get a small subset of that to figure out. You and your friend, you split it up. You're like, okay, I'm gonna work on I'm gonna Oracle micro like crazy, great, and don't have to worry about dropping your micro. I'm gonna do tank drops, cool, and it's really fun and less stressful in a negative way. I think it's more stressful in a positive way, where in StarCraft, it's very easy for most players to get overwhelmed. They know what they have to do, like, oh, I should be doing all these things, but I can't, and that's a frustrating experience. Whereas, like a sort of positive, stressful experience that I associate with StarCraft would be something like microing, right? Trying to get the absolute best value out of your units in a scenario. It's stressful, but it's exciting stressful. It's positive stressful. It's fun stressful. It's like, yeah, all right, cool. I didn't make it, but man, that was crazy. I did some cool moves there, and feeling good, Those are the kind of emotion, those are the kind of stresses that should be the first kind of experiences with StarCraft that players have. And my guess is that they're going to be led that way. The new player is going to be led into, hey, play some campaign, nice, play some Archon mode, some Allied Commanders and different stuff like that. And you'll learn how to play StarCraft in a way that's fun and not overwhelming, which is basically what I've been trying to do for the past 3 years with things like the cheese case and the staircase and different things like that, trying to help players find a path, some sort of clear path to manageable pieces that they can learn one step at a time and get to, StarCraft enjoyment, just the playing of 1 versus 1 StarCraft, which is really where that sort of deep magical experience happens, in my opinion. Archon mode is very sort of, everyone knows what it is, everyone's playing Archon mode, great, it's fine. There's no real mystery about Archon mode, but Allied Commanders hasn't been talked about in depth all that much, and we all got to play Allied Commanders. We got to watch people play Allied Commanders, and it was really cool. Obviously very basic, very sort of, it's not complete, but I mean, a Blizzard thing that's not complete is pretty much the real game of lesser game developers. Like, it was so awesome. There were people like, oh my god, and whoa, that was awesome, and just like excitement in the room of 20 or so computers where everyone's playing Allied Commanders at the same time, and there are just these super exciting moments, and there's, people are, experiencing the power fantasy that comes with playing StarCraft 2, and they're experiencing the enjoyment and the positive stresses that come with StarCraft 2, and it's just fun. And you also have elements that are in the 1 versus 1 game that you will pick up non-intentionally. You will pick up these skills and make your transition into the 1 versus 1 world of StarCraft a little bit easier, and maybe even sort of not difficult at all. Not even, just sort of a natural progression. It's just sort of like, you know what? I think I'm going to try some Archon mode, after Allied Commanders. And all right, cool. I kind of get it. In Archon mode, you understand, okay, these are basically like the strategies of 1 versus 1. These are the matchups. These are the mechanics in a real game of StarCraft. The only thing that's different in Archon mode is that I get someone to help me out. So it's not all on me, which I think is one of those really big draws to the team games like MOBAs, where it's like, if I screw up, I can always blame it on the other person, or it's not all on me, right? The pressure's not all on me, which is, I think, a big reason, one of the many reasons of the success and the rise of MOBAs in the recent years. And after you've been playing Archon mode for a while, I feel like there's this very natural transition. They're even on the same screen probably, right? I mean, they are in the beta. I imagine they would be in the full release version. Well, Archon mode, 1 versus 1 is just right there. So maybe it's like, the person you usually play Archon mode with is unavailable, and you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna queue up for a 1 versus 1, see how that goes. And then maybe you start playing a little bit more 1 versus 1. It's almost like the solo queue version of MOBA games, where it's like normally you play with a team of people, or not normally, hopefully, ideally you're playing with a group of people that are your friends, and you play and it's fun and it's great. But if they're not around, maybe you end up just playing a game of solo queue anyway. So I think that same effect is going to happen with Archon mode, where you play Archon mode, you normally have an Archon mode buddy or a couple of Archon mode buddies, and then it's sort of like, they weren't around, so I just played a 1 versus 1, and then they can share that with their Archon mode buddy that they're playing with. That social thing is very much there in this sort of track of learning how to play StarCraft, or getting into StarCraft, which has always been the problem, right? Getting into StarCraft has always been the problem. Once people are in, they're usually pretty awesome, excited about it. And there are currently 2 million unique StarCraft players logging in and playing some form of StarCraft every month. That's something that we were told, and we were also told specifically it's okay to say. There were very few things that they told us specifically that were like, you can tell people this, it's all right. Very obviously, 2 million is quite a bit. And okay, it's less than the other games, the big game, the Dota, and the League of Legends, but a lot higher than I expected. And I wonder if that's, your case as well. Like, wow, 2 million, I wasn't expecting that. There are a lot of people that play StarCraft. And maybe it's, playing in the arcade. Maybe it's playing the campaign. But I mean, how much replay value does the campaign have? We didn't get a breakup of who these people are. But there are 2 million people logging into StarCraft. 2 million. Think about that. And hearing that stat sort of makes sense in my mind, where it's like, these people are already enjoying StarCraft. They're already in the client right there, 1 or 2 clicks away from getting into the multiplayer aspect of the game. And while I don't think it's necessary that everyone get into the multiplayer aspect of the game, I have a feeling that a lot of those players that don't play multiplayer, were they given a more gradual path into playing multiplayer, they would do it. They would be more interested in esports. They would watch more esports as well. They would be just sort of deeper interested into the world of StarCraft, were they provided a less negative, stressful experience toward multiplayer. And I think that the strategy of taking this group of players through Archon and through Allied Commanders is really, really smart, and I think it's going to be really effective. Obviously, there are a lot of other things to talk about. There are a lot of other ways that we can improve the motivation factor. One thing that's been really big on my mind is, for instance, the ladder system is really, really awful. to not pull back any punches. The ladder system in StarCraft is absolutely awful. There are so many things awful with the ladder system. So, I've been trying to work on a video for that, understanding some basic motivational psychology aspects that can help improve the ladder system. There's lots and lots of things that we can work on and improve. And the number one thing that I took away personally, from this experience is how to be a more effective community figure. And it's really weird for me to call myself a community figure, but I think that is, after my sort of experience at Blizzard, I think that that's fair to say. And it feels weird to say. It's just I don't like to. I've tried to avoid narcissism and arrogance and things like that. I try to distance myself from them as much as possible at all times. So saying that I'm a community figure is kind of weird, but that's kind of a position that I'm in. Blizzard brought me, along with a bunch of other people, out to Blizzard. They made us sign an NDA. They trust us not to spill any of the beans that we're not supposed to be spilling. And that puts me in a unique position to be able to try and help all, sort of summarize or pull out very specific suggestions from the community and present them to the developers and the people at Blizzard in a way that sort of makes sense. It's difficult to try to describe exactly how I'm going to be changing the way that I'm doing things, but just understanding the way that Blizzard works behind the scene, because we did get to talk a little bit about that. I was able to talk to a lot of different people at Blizzard about the different things that I could be doing better as a sort of community figure and to sort of help the process of developing StarCraft and interacting with the community. So I've learned a lot of things that are really going to help me get your ideas and my ideas through to Blizzard in a way that is going to accomplish their goals for StarCraft as well as our goals for StarCraft at the same time. And that's a very difficult thing, but after being at Blizzard headquarters, I feel like it's a very real thing. It's a very doable thing. And my focus until Legacy of the Void, or after or during, is basically going to be just trying as much as I can to make StarCraft 2 the best game it possibly can be. And through this experience, this summit, I've been given a lot more new tools that will allow me to do that better. Oh God, that was hard to say. Figuring out how to say all of that stuff without saying anything that I'm not allowed to say was quite difficult, so I hope you enjoyed this journey with me. Lots of exciting news, lots of exciting things coming up for StarCraft 2, and they will be communicated to you by Blizzard. Stuff that they have told us in the summit is already being released. The pricing model was something they talked about with us at the summit, and it is now released in a blue post. Protoss design was something we talked about at the summit, and it's going to be released in a blue post. So that's kind of, I feel, how things are going to go. Blizzard is going to release the information when it's the best time possible to release the information, and all the community people are going to continue working to try to help make StarCraft 2 more awesome. And that's all. My name is JaKaTaK, and as always, thanks for watching. If you have an idea you would like me to put into a video, please just leave it with any questions, comments, criticisms, concerns, or anything beginning with the letter C in the comment section below, and I'll see you again soon.